Hi there. Thanks for viewing this version of the Dylan Million Meals campaign webinar. This version is a recorded version. We've hosted 2 live versions already this week, but this version is a summarized and more concise version of the versions that were posted and the versions that were hosted earlier this week. If you have any questions after you viewed this, please feel free to email us at sustainability@dylan.ca. So I'm just going to go over how this session runs. Essentially, the sessions that were hosted earlier this week were planned for 1 hour, but the latter half of the hour was basically spent on time to engage and collect feedback and answer questions. So this recorded version will just be about 30 minutes, possibly a little bit less because we won't have anyone pausing the conversation to ask questions. So the beginning part of this session is going to be some background information about the campaign, and then I will spend most of the time focusing on the pro bono service application. So welcome. The session is being hosted by members of Dylan's corporate sustainability team. My name is Mychal-Ann Hayhoe, and I'm one of the members of Dylan's corporate sustainability team. There are several other members that are heavily engaged in this session, but I'm the one that's presenting to you today. So a little bit about Dylan. Dylan is a multidisciplinary consulting company, and Dylan has been in operation for 75 years this year, so it's pretty exciting for us. We have offices across the country in most of the provinces and territories, although we haven't hit all of them yet, but as you can see from this map, most of our offices are located in Ontario, and that's just because that's where Dylan began. Also, there's a bit more dense population there, but we do have representation across the country. Dylan has a commitment to sustainability, and this is something that we're very passionate about as a company. So this is really, I would say, a benefit of being a Dylan employee is that you get to feel like you're giving back to the community. So Dylan's vision is to be recognized by Dylan's key stakeholders, who are our owners, our employees, clients, and the public, for a pursuit of excellence in corporate social responsibility. We have a responsibility to society as part of this commitment, and we would like to strengthen our communities by donating a percentage of our earnings to environmental and charitable organizations. So this is where this campaign has originated from, and to date we have donated over 1.3 million since 2009 using the Environment and Community Investment Fund. We call them our ECIF spending, and these investments typically come from the local office level, where local offices are identifying projects in their community and donating funds to help strengthen and support their local community. The Million Meals campaign is something that is going above and beyond this regular commitment to our local communities. So it includes an element of this ECIF pot of money that we have, but it also goes above and beyond that, and largely also in recognition of what's going on with the COVID pandemic. Food security has always been an issue, but we've recognized that it is an issue of increasing importance because of what's happening with the pandemic. So this goes along with our commitment to the United Nations Global Compact. We are a signatory on that, and we've selected a few goals to work on, including the Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which is zero hunger. And that goal is to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. So out of this goal that was released by the UN, we have built the Million Meals campaign. And there are several different facets of the campaign and how we're contributing to our local community's food security. And they're listed on the right side of the slide. So one of those is cash donations. So some of that is coming from that ECIF funding that I mentioned in the past slide. So ECIF funding is the money that comes from local offices and is distributed in local communities for local initiatives. And some of the pictures on the left-hand side of the slide show some local offices donating and giving back to their community. We also have staff that are donating their personal cash to different food security organizations that they feel passionate about. In addition to this, we also have volunteer time. So Dylan has committed to pay for 1 day of work per employee in the company for them to volunteer for an organization that promotes food security. And also staff, we have a pretty engaged staff, so staff are volunteering their own time in addition to this as well. We also do grant writing. So we do some grant writing where it's paid work, but we also do pro bono grant writing that fits into this campaign, which if you have questions about that, you can send us an email. But we also, and then the fourth component of this campaign is the pro bono service application, which we're going to be talking about today. And that's what we're calling our Cornerstone Initiative. So this is just a quick screenshot of our website, dylan.ca/millionmeals. It has all the information that you need if you have any questions or you're looking for answers that aren't even on the website. There's contact information, and the website will be updated regularly. So any changes to the application, any addendum that are put out, all that information will be put on this website. So this is just a plug and a reminder to go check out this website frequently if you're applying for the pro bono services. So for a timeline of how the pro bono service application is rolled out, we did a bit of a soft launch of the application document in December. So that was sharing the application document internally, as well as with some organizations we'd already been in contact with. The application was also put on our website, and our website was released in a draft version. In January, we've done more of a hard launch with the application document being shared and the campaign information being shared on social media. The website was finalized, and the application document was pushed out to more organizations. And we're also running these information webinars. In February, we're hoping we'll get more questions after the webinars have been run. We're hoping that more people will respond with questions that we can post answers to on our website in the frequently asked questions section. And we have a question deadline of March 5th. That's just to give us enough time to respond to all the questions before the application deadline of March 12th. We just would like to make sure that everybody has the same information. And then after the application deadline of March 12th, we will be selecting projects that we will be working on in April, and the work for those projects will commence in April as well. In May 2021, we'll post information on the website about the details of the projects we're working on. And then in 2022, the projects will wrap up. And the date of 2022, there's no month set because we expect there'll be a bit of a diversity in months when projects will wrap up, just based on what the individual project needs. So we're going to move on to a discussion about the actual application document. On the left of the screen, you can just see a screenshot of the cover page of the application document. So hopefully you've already taken a look at that. If not, this is just a quick introduction to what the cover page looks like. It has key information about the due date, and where to submit the application document, as well as questions. And a key point about this application document is that it was designed to be accessible and hopefully not time-consuming for organizations to apply to or to respond to. We recognize that organizations working to alleviate food insecurity issues are busy, and we hope that brevity in an application document is appreciated. So we have four main components about this in this document, and I'll go over those in a minute. The first one is the purpose and background of the campaign. So that is a lot of what I've just talked about now, but it's also expanded upon. So it just gives you a little bit of context to where we're coming from, and it might give you some insight into how to respond to the application. The next section is asking for applicant information. This hopefully is not unusual. It's hopefully something that you've seen if you've applied for any grants in the past. Hopefully you have this information readily available to you, and it's not a big time commitment to fill that out. And then the bulk of the application is asking for what your problem is or your project is. And I'll get into the distinction between problem and project, but very quickly, you can have a fully planned out project, or you can just say, we have a problem that we want help with, and Dylan will help come up with a solution to address your problem. Neither will be weighted more significantly. And then the last section of the application is just providing information on where you can submit questions. A quick overview of how we're evaluating the application documents that we receive. There's 6 key criteria. The first element of the criteria is feasibility. And this is feasibility for us to be able to deliver the work. We are excited to work on a variety of projects, but we still have to be able to, we'll have to evaluate it to make sure that we can actually deliver what is needed to address the problem or the project that any organization is proposing. So Dylan has almost 1,000 employees between full and part-time and contract. And so we can do a lot of different things, but there will be some things that are beyond our capabilities. So that will be an element that we'll consider. And I'll discuss at the end of this presentation more information about what exactly Dylan can do. Another element is a technical project versus an infrastructure project. This pro bono service application is designed for technical work only. So for example, if you need a greenhouse built, we can help you with the engineering, the permitting, the planning, but we can't provide you with the funds to purchase the equipment for the greenhouse to actually put the greenhouse up. Another element is our ability to create some leverage or synergy. Excuse me. And this concept is really best described. I think it's item G7, or I forget which number. There's a question in the application document that asks if you're willing to work with other organizations. And this is to allow us, if we see multiple organizations that have a very similar problem, if we are able to create one solution and then tweak it so it's tailored for multiple different organizations, we'd like to be able to do that. And we'd like to bring all these organizations to the table so that we all know that we're working together. And then once Dylan leaves at the end of the project, you as an organization still have some really good resources to reach out to each other and collaborate and continue to communicate even after Dylan has finished the project. Another element is the impact of the project. So this is called the Million Meals Campaign. We'd like to generate 1 million meals for Canadians in need. But with that said, we expect that it won't be always a clear interpretation from the project that you're proposing to a meal number, and we can work with you as long as the project is looking to address food insecurity in some way. We can work with you on how we are measuring impact. We're also looking at geographical diversity. We want to make sure that we're not just doing a project or doing projects in, say, Alberta or just in Ontario. We would like to make sure that we have some diversity across the country and that we're doing projects in multiple different areas. And then finally, and possibly the trickiest thing to evaluate, is we're looking for projects that start to go towards the root causes of food insecurity. And some of those causes we recognize are very complex and aren't going to be solved by 1, 2, or even 3 projects that Dylan can do. But we would like to work with organizations that are attempting to tackle some of those causes, at least in part. So moving on to some of the details of the actual application document. So again, as I mentioned, the first section is just asking about, is just providing information on the purpose and background of this document. It'll also show a timeline of the application, which I've already shown you in these slides. So I won't go over that in too much more detail. The next section is looking for basic applicant information. Again, this is something you've probably seen if you've applied for a grant in the past. And it just asks for your organization type, capacity, some information about work agreements. Hopefully none of this will be new, but if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us at sustainability@dylan.ca. The third section is, again, the bulk of the application document. And this is asking for information about what problem you're trying to solve. And this is where the distinction between a problem and a project comes in. A problem can be, a project is going to be at its core a problem, but we expect some organizations will have identified a problem and then developed a very clear project plan, but we don't expect that all organizations will have done this. So what we wanted to do is provide you space, if you don't have a clear project plan, to list out your problem, and then we will contact you and work with you to see if we can come up with a solution that addresses your problem. Neither, as I've mentioned, neither will be weighted more heavily. If you have a project or a problem, they'll both be considered equally. It's how we're considering these applications is based on the 6 items that I listed in a previous slide. This is just a little screenshot of some of the specifics of these questions. A couple of things I'll highlight here. We've provided suggested character maxes, but because from personal experience filling out a grant application that asks for only exactly 1,000 characters, when you're at 1,001, it can be a bit frustrating trying to cut them down. We haven't provided a hard limit on that, but do ask that you try and view those as guidelines to stick within. And then question 3.7 is the one that I've already mentioned in a previous slide. That is getting at that idea of synergy or leveraging. If we're noticing applications coming in with a similar problem, we would like to be able to bring different organizations together and work together and create some leveraging out of the efforts. And then the 4th section, again, is just that this is hardly a section. It's just to provide you information on how you can vet your ideas and where to send any questions. So it's that sustainability@dillon.ca email address. The next area that I just want to briefly touch on is something that comes up often when we're talking about this campaign. Inevitably, people want to know, and organizations want to know who Dillon is and what we can do. And I think my standard line has always been, we're problem solvers. We can solve all kinds of problems. Just tell us your problem and we'll see if we can figure it out. But logically, people want to know more than that. So this is my attempt, or our attempt at summarizing what we can do. But please keep in mind that we don't want this to limit you. If you have a project or something interesting that doesn't appear on here, or a problem that doesn't seem to be appear to be solved by what we're talking about in these next 2 slides, please send us an email. We can see if we can come up with a solution. So key to this is to understanding Dillon is that Dillon is split into 3 different areas. So the first one is communities, the second one is environment, and the third one is transportation and facilities. And within those 3 areas, there's a lot of different specialists and services that can be offered. So for example, environment has a wide range of specialties from landfill engineering, compost management, compost system design, contaminated site management. There's a wide variety of things that can fit underneath environment. Transportation and facilities is perhaps a little bit more explanatory. There's transportation specialists and facility specialists that fit under that banner. Communities, we have planning, engagement, permitting, that sort of thing happens under the communities banner. But some specific ideas of things that we can do are listed below. So one that I've already mentioned is greenhouses. So if you have a greenhouse that you want to get built, we can help with the permitting, approvals, engineering, etc. We can also help with food waste management. So this can come in from under the environmental side, where you're looking at compost projects, anaerobic digestion, or it can come in as more of a planning situation where we're helping you develop a plan to minimize food waste or redirect or that sort of thing. We also have a lot of GIS capabilities, GIS mapping. So that includes things like 3D GIS, animation and rendering, city engine modeling and geodesign, and visual impact assessments. We also have people who can support with logistic planning. We know with food security issues and organizations working on that, getting, apologies for that noise, from where donations to a central location and out to clients who need it. We can also help with engagement and communication, as well as training, capacity building, circular economy planning, and again, much more. That the list goes on, but this is just a sampling to give you an idea of what some of the things that we can do. Just for an example project that covers a few of these topics, we're working with the city of Guelph and the county of Wellington. They were recipients of Infrastructure Canada's $10 million grant for smart cities. And they're working to they've created an Our Food Future office, and they're working to create Canada's first circular economy for food. And Dylan is working on just a small piece of the really groundbreaking work that they're doing. And this is just an example to show how it can bring in a lot of our different services, from planning, food supply chain experts, engagement experts, food waste experts, agriculture experts, and waste management experts. So we have a variety of different specialists working on this same project. If you're interested to know more about that project, you can check out our Food Futures website at foodfuture.ca. But again, this is just an example of how we can take our different specialties that are available at Dillon and come together to create a multidisciplinary project. So the next section of this presentation was really reserved for feedback and discussion, and it's done on a mural board. Because this is the recorded version, I obviously won't share that link out. I believe by the time you've seen this, mural board will be closed. But if you have any questions for our group about the application or anything about vetting an idea, please send them to sustainability@dillon.ca. Thanks very much.